They didn't have to tell you that you weren't worthy. No, you just slowly began to feel it. And it wasn't because it was ever true, but more so because somewhere along the way, the cues that were around you stopped mirroring your inherent value. And over time, silence started feeling and sounding a lot like truth. And distance started feeling more like judgment. And disconnection felt a lot like proof. See, you weren't born questioning your worth. And I think the matter of fact is you were taught to forget it altogether. This is Uber Bintegers, where integrity leads and intimacy dares us to be seen. But let's begin this first episode in this series. See, you did not forget your worth by accident. It was stripped from you slowly, through repetition, through absence, through substitution. See, repetition when your worth was only mentioned in connection to how well you behaved, or how well you performed, or succeeded, or served a certain purpose. And absence when no one said that you matter because you exist, but instead they only said, good job, or be polite, or you make me proud when, right? And substitution when you were celebrated for your obedience, but never for your authenticity. And for your usefulness, but never really because of your boundaries. For your ability to keep the peace, but never your courage to break the silence. See, it wasn't loud, it wasn't obvious, but it was this slow erosion. This is what I've called this episode, and that's the disappearing act. Not of your worth, but the awareness of your worth. Because worth does not vanish. It doesn't shrink, it doesn't dissolve. Your worth only gets covered over and forgotten over time. It only gets buried under this weight of what you were never meant to carry in the first place. But I mean, you and I, we carried it anyways, didn't we? Because when we were little, we didn't have the words to say things like, this love feels really transactional, right? We just learned to earn or try to earn that love. We didn't know how to say, your silence seems to be shaping my sense of self. No, we just tried harder to be visible. And we didn't understand that, how to say, I'm being asked to abandon myself in exchange for approval. We just kept becoming who they would clap for. And eventually, that became the norm for us, didn't it? Our internal compass, the one that once whispered, you're already enough, it in essence got drowned out by the noise of do more, be better, prove it, like fix it, serve them, stay small. And maybe for a while, this worked. Maybe being the performer or the achiever or the peacemaker or the invisible one, the helper. Maybe these roles got us the nods and the grades and the relationships and the protection that we were looking for. But something inside of us always knew, this is not all of me. This isn't how worth is supposed to work, right? But if you're like most of us, I mean, we just kept going, didn't we? Because questioning the system felt far more dangerous than staying exhausted inside of it. See, I think we need to name this up front. We didn't forget our worth because we were weak, right? We forgot our worth because we were just trying to survive. And survival always chooses belonging over authenticity, it seems. So let me just slow that down a moment here. See, Survival will always make you choose whatever keeps you in connection, even if that connection costs you your relationship with yourself. Because when we were younger, fitting in wasn't just a social bonus. It was a survival strategy, wasn't it? See, if our parents only smiled when we performed, I mean, we learned to perform then, didn't we? If our faith community only affirmed us when we obeyed, well, we learned to suppress our doubt then. And I mean, if our culture only validated us when we succeeded, when we learned to stay productive at the cost of our soul. So no, I don't think we chose to forget our worth. We just, we adapted. But adaptation is not the same thing as truth, is it? And the trouble here is that we started believing that our adaptations were really the real us. And the versions of us who learned not to ask for help, the versions of us who kept apologizing for even existing, the version of us who overfunctioned in the relationships that we were in, the versions of us who shrunk our truth to protect someone else's feelings, and the versions of us who tried to be liked far more than we were understood. See, that's not who we were at the core. I think that was the costume that we learned to put on. And it was stitched together with fear and not with a sense of freedom. But today we want to begin unthreading this thread. And we want to do this not with shame, nor with judgments. We want to do this with compassion and also with clarity as well. So here's the first truth I think that would be suitable for us to consider, and that is that our worth is not a performance. Our worth is our origin. It's our baseline, if you will. It was with us before the erasing began. And I think our worth is still there waiting for us now. But to remember our worth, we have to first look at the reasons that we forgot it in the first place. See, we can't heal what we're not willing to name, right? We can't reclaim what we are still blaming ourselves for losing in the first place. And we can't really find our way home if we're keeping pretending that we never even displaced it in the first place. And so I want to name just a few of the ways I think that we, in essence, learned to forget our worth. So we were told to be good, right? But we were never asked what felt good to us. We were told to respect our elders, weren't we? But we were never taught how to actually respect our own boundaries. And we were taught, don't talk back. But we were never invited to ask the deeper questions, were we? We were told that God is love, perhaps. But then we were shown a version of love that threatened abandonment when we failed. And we were told, make us proud, but we were never told, we're proud of you just for being you, right? We were told, work hard, but not how to rest without that sense of guilt. And we were told, don't cry, but we weren't really told how to feel. We were told, be seen, but not heard. Remember that one? And then we internalized our voice being the problem, right? And somehow in the middle of all of this messiness, we thought that it was our fault. We thought that we were the ones who were lacking something, that we were too emotional, that we were too needy, we were too sensitive, we were too complicated, we were too lazy, we were too difficult, we were too much, we were too empty. When in fact, we were just too human for a world that in essence rewards performance over presence. And so when I say that our worth disappeared, I don't mean that it was taken as much as I mean that it was buried under all of these narratives, by all of this noise, the scripts that we signed up for. the shaping that made us who we are. And now we begin this process of digging. And we don't dig to punish ourselves. We're digging to uncover. We're digging to reclaim. We're digging because that version of us, the unperformed version, I think that version is still there. See, we are not a project, are we? We are not a problem that needs to be solved. We are not someone who needs to earn the right to come home to ourselves. No, I think we just need to learn how to remember. And this is why this series this month is called Worthy, or Remembering the Value That You Forgot. Because we're not building worth. We are revealing our worth. We're not upgrading, right? We're unburdening ourselves from all of these scripts. We're not auditioning. No, we're returning to our worth. And here's what I want you to hold on to today. Even if this feels difficult to believe, you were never unworthy. You were just unseen. You were seen through these distorted lenses, right? And you were measured by systems that didn't know your depth. And you were most likely filtered through narratives that had nothing to do with your truth. See, you may have forgotten your worth, but I don't think your worth ever forgot you. So consider this invitation for me today, in this moment, as you're listening. Before you hustle to fix yourself, pause. Before you try to prove that you're good enough, pause. But before you're striving to be lovable, notice if you're already loved. See, you're not the one who had to survive all those years. Like right now, you are the one who made it through that season. You're the one who is still here in this moment, in this present moment. You're the one who's showing up to this conversation. This is a challenging conversation. And if you're here listening to this, I think you're ready. Not because you have it all figured out. And it's not because you've earned your healing. No, but more so because something inside of you just knows that you are allowed to stop performing. And you are allowed to be seen again. You're allowed to come home to yourself. See, this was never about becoming someone new. No, this has always been about remembering who you were before the forgetting began. And it starts now. I mean, tomorrow in our next episode, I'm going to be naming one of those biggest of reasons that forgetting took hold in the first place. And that is, we were taught to perform, but we were never taught how to just be, right? So I hope you'll join me there. I'd love to have you join in that conversation. But for now, just remember, your worth was always there and it's waiting. Thanks for listening in to this first episode. I'll see you tomorrow.